This is a Clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here with us in our new tornado warning for parts of the area until 11:30. We're watching some circulation that's just been outside of the area. At 11 o'clock, a Smith thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 8 miles south of Port St. Joe, moving northeast about 35 miles an hour. So let's go ahead and zoom on in here. You see some of that spin. Honestly, it's just moving toward Indian Pass now. So not quite in toward the viewing area at this point, but that'll change here pretty soon. But I know folks from Indian Pass, hopefully they're taking shelter in Gulf County. But again, it will get into toward Franklin County here pretty soon with this area spin. So gotta be taking this seriously here as we're looking at this on the Eglin radar, the Eglin Air Force Base radar side. I know looking here at some stuff. Let me go ahead and pop up here the Mosquito discussing. They're saying that some tornado threat will persist to the late morning and there will be some northward expansion of the threat into the afternoon. Several supercells have moved on shore across parts of the Florida Panhandle this morning before tending to weaken and then move further inland with time. Some weakening and low-level flow has been noted there as we're looking at some of the different technology here. I know, like the Eglin Air Force Base radar site. And this trend will continue from south to north through the day as Tropical Depression Francine continues to move north-northeastward and weaken. However, low-level shear / storm relative helicity remains favorable for tornadoes with any sustained supercell, and the thermodynamic environment may become more favorable in time as richer low-level moisture with dew points in the mid-70s continues to gradually spread northward. Farther northwest, a pronounced mid-level dry slide is moving over south and central Alabama, and this may allow for some diurnal heating across the region, though it will also tend to suppress deeper convection to some extent. Again, this is from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma, that I'm reading this from, but even if convection remains relatively shallow, it looks like it's going to be a situation here where a favorable overlap of modest buoyancy with the energy base near 500 joules per kilogram and rather strong low-level shear storm relative helicity attendant to Francine may support a threat of a couple tornadoes into this afternoon with some northward expansion of the threat possible with time. And with the watch expiring at about 2 o'clock, additional watch issuance is possible this afternoon. So that's kind of storyline there. Again, just trying to break that down for you guys at home there, the viewers, give you an idea of what is happening here with the Francine, this local tornado threat that, seems to want to persist with us here, unfortunately. So again, continuing to watch all of this here in the weather center. You see more rain going back into that flash flood warning polygon, so that's not a great thing. As we're watching, I know the one tornado warning for Gulf expired, but the one further out in Gulf and indoor Franklin is not. So again, gotta take those tornado precautions here as we look at the overall scenario. Definitely, we gotta be mindful of what's happening, what's going on. You have all that heavy rain here, which could be a problem for us. Obscure a potential tornado. So again, we're watching things, for this part of our area. I know Gulf County not quite in our viewing circle, but Franklin County is, and that's why we're on the air right now at the head in that direction. So gotta keep that in mind. You see Indian Pass there, watching some rotation. It looks pretty tight right there, right near the coast, and that could be some cause for concern here to maybe get something down toward the surface. Again, just continuing to give you guys the very latest on exactly what we're dealing with, what's happening. I know you see we have winds about 51 way and 55 the other way. They're not right up against each other right now, for the most part. I mean, we do have 50 and 40 though, so they are pretty close to, be at the peaks right against each other, so it could be a sign of a water spout, right there off the coast, or a tornado situation. So, as this tries to make its way on in towards some land areas. So, I know we have our delineation there as we're looking at things. We get into Franklin County pretty soon. We're not quite there yet, but I'm just going to continue to watch all of this. Continue to give you the very latest here. I know with the storm system moving slower, the depression moving slower, that causes issues because you're in a situation where, the movement here is going to make it harder for us to kind of leave this favorable overlap of shear and energy as quick. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. This is some really heavy rain headed back into that flash flood warning. So that's something to bear in mind here. We're talking about rain rates and rain totals of 2-3 inches an hour at points that could cause some problems. Additional flooding in Franklin Gulf and Liberty counties. So you just have to be kind of tracking that here. Again, you see on Indian Pass, just off the coast seems to be where the worst of the rotation is. Again, we're continuing to watch that progression. Definitely important to do that. Again, it's all about protecting you, your friends, and your family. Just a tricky situation here overall. Again, we have the tornado warning in effect for another 14 minutes or so. Let's go back to some broad views of things. I know you see here we do have some rain further over to the east, but not, as concerned with severe weather, in this pattern right now, further off toward the east. And then let me take our tornado warning information off so I don't confuse anybody, but you definitely do have some rain around. It's going a little bit different direction at points, but you kind of get the idea. It's definitely some rain, but, more concentrated action here further off toward the west. So, that's a focal point. And definitely a focal point with this. You have a depression up toward Jackson, Mississippi, and you have some banding there, further up in northern Mississippi. More stable air mass over there, but more unstable, more, the perimeters coming together closer toward the Gulf Coast. So part of Francine here, and another tornado warning in toward the area here until about 11:30 or so. At about 11 o'clock, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles south of Port St. Joe, moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. Other locations in the warning include but are not limited to 9 Mile, Milltown, Highland View, 11 Mile, 13 Mile, Odina, Indian Pass, Simmons Bayou, Jones Homestead, and Ward Ridge. So, again, just continuing to watch this here for you. Make sure you're taking notes of the precautions in that red box. Again, we're trying to make sure you guys, are really in a better spot for, protecting your friends, yourself, your family. Again, a very active warning, several tornado warnings so far. And we're just going to have to keep on watching here, as the timeline goes along to see if we get more. We probably will, though, as we've had to come on a lot already on the different platforms. Facebook, Casey Cloud Everyday Cloud Weather, Twitter / Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather, and cloudweather.com. So, again, just trying to keep you informed. Let's go back over to the velocity again. Do you see that rotation there? Right around Indian Pass. Nothing in terms of debris right now, but definitely a cause for concern over there. as that moves toward Franklin County. You know, if this can get further inland, it may weaken because it'll be away from the instability. But if we keep seeing this stay intact like this, we may kind of see it ride the coast and potentially get, you know, more tornado warnings issued on it. I know it's in the southern part of the box right now, the polygon, and if it stays closer to the water, that could kind of keep it a little more energized. We don't have as much energy further up, but you know, at least it would seem right now. But yeah, that really it is, you know, on the southern edge of this. I mean, to have different areas developed. I mean, I will say we had one area we were watching earlier. Honestly, this kind of developed on the southern flank, so it could end up still kind of going a little more northerly. But still, we'll see. It could head easterly as well, more easterly. We shall see. I mean, this angle kind of makes me think it's going to do something like this, which, you know, that kind of has it there riding right on the edge of the covered area, but, you know, ultimately crossing over US 98. Again, something to kind of bear in mind. Very heavy rain here too, by the way, so if we have a tornado, it could be rain wrapped here. That makes things even more dangerous here in a set of circumstances like this. So, gotta keep that in mind. Gotta be cognizant of that. Just have to be weather aware. Again, trying to keep you up to date. There's just some really strong winds showing up on this mode. A 75-mile-an-hour wind. As we're looking there just south of Indian Pass. So they're definitely a quiet, you know, area of circulation right now. And that could be a cause for concern. Have to maybe watch that toward Apalachicola, but it could also can go a little more northerly. And then that wouldn't be as big of a deal for Apalachicola. So we shall see. Again, you know, it could go, you know, closer in. We'll see how that works. If it goes closer in, it'll probably be a little bit stronger because it'll be closer to the highest instability values. So, and that probably gets a warning extension right now. Unless this really starts to decay pretty quick, we're probably gonna get another warning on this. Unfortunately, if it can start to go more northerly here, then maybe it weakens enough to not need another tornado warning. But right now, it would look like we're leaning toward needing another tornado warning here and having to keep this coverage going for a little bit longer even. So again, I just continue to watch here, continue to track, and make sure you're in that safe spot there in this tornadic situation. So backing it up, going forward, and the like here. I know it is really rain wrapped in here, which is intriguing. That can be a thing where, you know, maybe it's not, you know, really displaying much in the way of supercellular characteristics. Some of the action here today, at least on the reflectivity mode of the radar. But again, we'll just continue to watch things, continue to track. I know, just trying to let you guys know what we're dealing with. And by the way, speaking of letting you know what we're dealing with, well, I know, just, you know, it's not, you know, directly, you know, maybe meteorology in a way, but we did just have a report of earthquakes, a little less than a 5, you know, as we're looking toward Malibu in California. So I just thought I'd touch on that there real quick. But again, just trying to continue to give you the very latest here. Trying to keep you up to date on what we're dealing with. I'll go ahead and go back on to our other view and I'll zoom out. I want to go ahead and pull up some of our model guidance. I know it's showing some weird movement on this low pressure. That might not matter as much, but you know, as we look, we could have another area of low pressure develop toward the Carolinas that could get named. We have this system right here that could get named. It may curve away, but we shall see. It's too early to know for sure. I know you see some models developing something that looks like it might, you know, we'll see if it gets closer to Arizona in terms of moisture or not. But anywho, we're going to continue to watch here the situation. We have this tornado warning in play right now. You can definitely see the tight rotation still. It's just starting to try to edge into Franklin County now with this, and you just got to make sure you're taking precaution. Interior room away from windows. Things along those lines. I would be surprised if they don't extend this tornado warning based on all the trends I've seen here. You know, hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't think I am here at this point unless this really weakens, because we're seeing just, you know, just off of, you know, right at you know, each other. Winds one way of 60 almost and another 80 miles an hour. So, you know, if things really tighten up, we could have a significant tornado on our hands here. And we are far enough from the radar, there's a chance it could be trying to do that more than we're seeing. So that's something we got to bear in mind here. Right now, it's not as tight, but you know, it could be right gate to gate, but it's not far off from being something pretty substantial here. So this other radar view doesn't show it as much, so it still shows something there off of Tallahassee view. That's 6,000 feet up. And the other view here at this point would be about 6,000 feet up as well. So we'll just kind of continue to watch. I guess Tallahassee's technically the closer radar now, and it's not as strong with it. So that's something to consider at least, but it's showing enough, you know, where there may still be a, you know, a situation where they want to keep this, you know, but it's not a guarantee. Or, you know, 95% chance like it was looking like on the other radar or something like that. But again, just continuing to watch, continuing to track here, continuing to give you the very latest. Again, tracking some rotation on the Doppler algorithms. You know, definitely important to just be prepared here when you have these type of situations on our hands. Just continue to track it all here. Again, another perspective on what's going on. You know, flash flood warning to 12:30, getting more rain in that box now. Goes for parts of Franklin and Liberty and our area and Gulf just outside of the area. I'm, you know, going to see a lot more rain in these areas. Some spots have already picked up 7, 8 inches in the last 12 hours, and more's coming in. So that's an issue there, Western Franklin County. Some of those spots within that, I mean, Apalachicola, maybe not quite as much, but, you know, in that short period of time, but 4 inches, give or take. Okay, new tornado warning now to noon at 11:27. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 11 miles southeast of Port St. Joe, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. So, kind of what we're suspecting here, unfortunately, that we'd have another tornado warning issued here. And that's where we're at right now. So, again, go ahead, take those tornado precautions. That does include the Apalachicola Airport area. Just something to keep in mind. Definitely something to be mindful of. Again, just trying to let you know what we're dealing with. By the way, zooming back out. Epic flood advisory for Duval and Nassau now at 2:30. And this is the overall pattern. But back here on this tornado warning, just has so many right by the coast here today. Again, you don't see as much rotation on this here compared to the other radar, but it's still showing some rotation for sure. So we still got to be taking those precautions. You know, getting into your room away from windows. That's important to keep in mind. Again, all this heavy rain, a lot of lightning in here. You don't see that necessarily sometimes in the tropical setup, but that's what we're seeing right now. It's definitely worth noting. So, look at that storm there in McCullough. A little bit of wind enhancement there, west and south of South Troppy, but You know, we're just going to be watching things, you know, even more so further back toward the west here, with the concern, of things. Just trying to let you know what we're dealing with. Again, we're watching everything here for you. Watching stuff in the Gulf here further down as well. So busy radar a picture off that Tallahassee view. It's definitely worth following. We go to Jackson radar real quick. You know, you do see some scattered stars around, but looks like some of that's kind of clearing out for now. We're on Stark, for instance, but as we go back on over, we'll get here just east of Indian Pass. Pretty, you know, unpopular areas right now. And I do see it seems like we're starting to get a situation where we're seeing a rotation further down to the south, maybe start to develop a little bit. Maybe that'll take away from some of this further to the north. We shall see. Again, gotta be still taking those precautions, tornado precautions. Interior room away from windows. Make sure you're taking shelter now. Again, continuing to give you the latest. I know we don't like, you know, seeing too much rain over a short period of time. That's what we're dealing with right now. You know, as we're looking towards some of these different backyards. Last 12 hours on rainfall estimates here showing in that yellow 7 inches. I mean, some of these will vary, but that's kind of where we're at there. That's cause for concern. Just remember, turn around, don't drown when you have that flooding and taking place into more different communities. Remember, if you can't see how deep the water is over the road, you just don't want to go through that. You know, you gotta just be really careful. You know, you want to be safe versus sorry in that type of instance. Very important to keep in mind, obviously, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking here, and just giving you the minute by minute updates. Let me go ahead and pull up some of the parameters again. We have a good bit further out to the west. You know, some to the east, but more so to the west. And this tornado watch going further back to the west as well, but a few of our counties included in it, and we've had a slew of tornado warnings here in our area today. Again, definitely worth noting here, definitely worth monitoring. I know you see our low here with our tropical depression going further up to the north. I know there are some issues in Alabama with tree down reports in various locations across Walker County due to the morning wind gusts from Francine. You have these storms here. We'll have to start watching to see if these rotate some. Right now, closer to the Gulf is where we have more of the energy in place for the greater concerns. So. Again, tracking the tornado warning in play. This right now, it almost wants to go, you know, right there, right at the coast, which is interesting, but I almost missed some of the, you know, mainland areas. But maybe it's just kind of trying to ride along the instability in a way so it doesn't weaken off. But again, just trying to give you the latest. So we're here in the Weather Center for you. So we're at 11:34 right now since this, you know, action just continues here these tornado warnings. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to keep this stream obviously going with a tornado warning effect for our area. But right now, it seems to be kind of more, concentrated over an area that doesn't look populated, maybe an island out there per se. So we'll be back at 11:40 with more on the tornado warning coverage. So keep it tuned here to Cloud Weather. We're going to keep you guys updated. We have a tornado watch in play, tornado warning in play, flash flood warning in play, and we'll have more here in about 5 minutes. So stay tuned, everybody, and stay safe as we continue to watch our severe weather situation on this Thursday morning.
This is a clouds weather alert.
Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center at 11:40. Again, following a tornado warning situation, and now another tornado warning polygon being issued until 12 o'clock here for parts of the Big Bend region. So you got to take those tornado precautions right now. Obviously, interior room away from windows here. So we got a nasty situation with some of these areas of rotation. Granted, they've been, in the more coastal zones, so and at points once they get away from those, they weaken off. So we haven't had any damage reports that I've seen really in our area so far. So that's good. But this new tornado warning, we have some rotation. Southern Franklin County at 11:38, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. It was located 12 miles southwest of Apalachicola, moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. So mainly rural areas, Southern Franklin County with that one. The one further up toward the north here, this area of rotation, it's one we have more population. Southeastern Gulf and southwestern Franklin County. Then this one until 12 o'clock. So make sure you're taking your tornado precautions. Again, I'm not seeing debris with that. Let me look down here. I know that's a little harder to tell for sure, but again, just be careful. Not when I say that, for debris, I mean we're talking about a situation where that would be over a water there, so it wouldn't necessarily, be a scenario where we have like debris. It'd be like the water being picked up, but you get the idea. But honestly, those don't look really impressive from that view. Let me try our other radar. It's a little further off. The Eglin Air Force Base, that radar from the NASA Weather Service, as they track. That looks tighter on this here, and the other one doesn't look, really tight, but there is some rotation just off of land there. I know we have some rotation further out in the Gulf. Let me go ahead and jump on over back to the Tallahassee radar then, since that still looks pretty decently tight there, right at the coast. So, I mean, that view doesn't really show it as well. Again, it's murky in here. Let me go to another view here. Again, required to be on whenever the tornado warning's done within our 62 counties. We'll take breaks occasionally. We try not to too much, but it's pretty long fused here, and a scenario that's not just completely overwhelming. So, taking that quick break there just a moment ago as we continue to watch things here in this type of situation. Let me go ahead and kind of see what we're dealing with our other radar mode. So velocity, you can see the couplet here, and then you can see this couplet here. And let me just kind of pull on here if I can. Reflectivity. And then what we'll go ahead and do is, let me go ahead and jump back over to the radar view, because you saw the two areas of rotation, right? But, when we have these, I mean, this one here, well, guess what? That's pretty much in the water. And this one here, well, that's in the water. So again, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. I know there is a tornado warning continuation for the Apalachicola area at 12 o'clock. And we still have to be very mindful that this come back right on shore as a quick tornado touchdown. It happens from time to time, so you got to be aware of that possibility. But again, just trying to give you the very latest here with what's going on. I just gotta be, taking those tornado precautions here in these type of situations. You just have to be really, making sure you're getting the interior room away from windows. Maybe even putting a football helmet on or a bicycle helmet on. Now, just, west of area in Port St. Joe, they've had a lot of rain here. And, just the last little bit, they already had a flash flood warning in place since 6:30 for them and a part of our area. And we're now getting a report from broadcast media that Highway 98 in Port St. Joe has a foot of water on it in the city limits. So that's not what you want to hear, obviously. And that could be translating toward Apalachicola here as we're looking over the next little bit. So, stuff in that realm. So, Again, just trying to let you know what we're dealing with. Definitely, can be problematic. So make sure, remember, turn around, don't drown when you have situations like this. I mean, of course, we're dealing with some impact here from Francine, a side effect of Francine per se. So that's definitely something to kind of, be mindful of. We have, the flooding side effect and a tornado side effect per se. So again, just continuing to watch. Let me go ahead and keep checking here. Again, there's some spin right into the coast and then right in between, really. But that could come right up in Apalachicola. I don't want to discount it too much because, you can kind of see how that's swinging around and really not populated down here. But Apalachicola is very populated. And this could come right in on them there. It's not out of the question. And it's all rain wrapped in there, so it might be hard to delineate, what's really going on. So you got to be careful there on Apalachicola, in toward that part of the viewing area. I mean, it's definitely a possibility that it could happen that way. Let me go ahead and kind of see other view again. We'll jump over to that. And then I'll go ahead and kind of draw a line where the rotation is. This is not really populated out here, but obviously Apalachicola is populated. And it's a track kind of like this, so maybe, that's the west side of town, but still an issue, obviously. Sometimes these jump around a little bit. I'm just kind of trying to follow it. So maybe something kind of more like this. So maybe not right into downtown, but just continuing to track all this here. Continue to give you the latest. Maybe something back out in here. Maybe right near the airport, actually. That's what that would kind of look like then. I mean, yeah, it probably is not headed maybe right into town. I mean, the warning doesn't include right in downtown, but it's headed right, right for that airport area. That's what it looks like to me. Doesn't mean it's going to be underground, but if there's a tornado there, it's headed right toward the airport. So, Apalachicola Municipal Airport, I hope you guys are taking precaution there right now because there is a chance, not a, guarantee, but a chance that a tornado could be headed right toward the airport there right now. You got only a matter of minutes to take precaution. Moving northeast at 20 miles an hour was the one warning area, and 25 east on the other, but it's actually kind of going north. So we'll say 20 to 25. So let me kind of go ahead and plot some stuff off here then. Just kind of get my bearings a little bit with this. I mean, as we continue to watch, I just want to see. I won't pull it up on our mode, but this is only 4 miles or so away from that airport. So that's cause for concern, obviously. If there is something underground, this could head toward Apalachicola Airport there. So just gotta be kind of, concerned about that. Definitely gotta be monitoring there. I know, I wish we had rated it a little closer down to get a better idea of what's going on, but I know we did have a funnel cloud report earlier with some of this activity, not this storm in particular, but just in general. So, again, just something to kind of bear in mind as the situation does evolve. So, gotta be mindful here. Again, a busy morning. Let me go ahead and kind of go on over here again. This is only going to be maybe 10 minutes or less away from, maybe, closer to 5 minutes away or so from hitting the airport, the rotation. Now that didn't mean that's gonna come down to the ground. It may just be a loft and not actually come down to the surface. But we have to be prepared for that possibility. So again, just continuing here to track all of that. Very important to keep in mind. I know we repeat ourselves a lot when we're in tornado coverage, but it's just a one-man band, and we're trying to get the information out to you guys if you are at home. So again, this isn't that tight of a circulation by any stretch, but we are looking further up, and it's rain wrapped, and it's a tropical setup, and it is headed toward the airport. And unlike a lot of these, we're not necessarily seeing much in the way of population. I mean, it's not the biggest airport in the world by any means, or even in the region, but it is headed. The circulation is, that spin is kind of headed right up there. That's where the airport is, where that 21 is. If you guys weren't sure where I was talking, that's right where the airport is, and the spin is kind of, and I'll pull it back on here. I mean, it's going right in that general direction when the green and the red meet. So that's why we're a little more concerned. Again, continuing here to track, I know we have some spin to the south. We have the other tornado warning. I mean, honestly, that looks to be more off the coast and where the way things are here. I mean, if that doesn't go back towards land, which it might want to do, that's just how things have been at times. If it didn't, we would say maybe just have a marine warning, but if that wants to kind of jump back up here, then we have another tornado warning possibly for the island area. So, again, this is interesting. Don't see it like this every day. We thought we might have more threat further inland. Right now, it's been really just confined to the coastal zones, and in our southwestern zones. Really, a lot of Franklin County warnings just over and over again here. Different parts of the county here this morning. Learning our Franklin County geography, I suppose, here on this Thursday morning. So, again, it's just a situation where we're going to seek shelter inside this dirty building. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. You want to protect yourself from flying everywhere, putting on a bicycle helmet, football helmet, bicycle helmet, something like that. And you want to have those shoes on in case, there's glass in the aftermath of the tornado. You don't want to cut your feet up. So, again, we're tracking all this here for you. Trying to give you the latest. Again, just trying to be here for you the best we can. We have these tornado warnings in play both until noon, so that's 7 minutes. Again, these are not the most impressive ones I've ever seen, these circulations, but we have these warnings in place. We got to take them seriously. And again, the warning is heading in the general direction of the airports. And with the METAR site on here, you also, I thought you'd see it a little bit better than that, quite honestly, but kind of shows it encroaching upon the airport. This yellow area, and then there's the runway. I know you have the tornado watch in yellow too, but the yellow area there in general, right near the airport. So that shows some shear, some rotation. Honestly, it's pretty weak looking right now, but it's possible it's trying to get closer to the surface than we realize because of the radar coverage, lacking out there because we're just further away. From radar sites when you get further away from a big city like Tallahassee, per se, or an Air Force base like Eglin Air Force Base. Again, these have not been, generally indications of really strong tornadoes today. I have noticed, there was one way earlier on out west of our area that was looking like if it could get together, it would produce a strong tornado maybe. There in the Florida Panhandle. I don't think we had a report like that. I'm not sure. I was just in the Tallahassee jurisdiction, so it would have come up on my information if we had something with that. I don't think we really did. It didn't seem like it quite connected right, but if it could have, it would have been more problematic. But the stuff we've had around here, I mean, here and there, a little bit of something, but not in the most popular areas that precludes from having big issues in most cases anyway. We'll see what they do with these tornado warnings here at noon. I'll be curious because you could argue it both ways here. I mean, quite honestly, because of the way these are tracking. I mean, this here, there is some right over the island. Of course, we have St. George Island. They're just looking in the grand scheme of things, of course. Let me real quick. So you have your bridge here and the like, but I mean, there is some spin, but I would kind of lean to dropping this one, but there could be a case made to keep it. It's just doesn't look really organized, but it looks more like it's just off the water. But if it tries to angle back up to the north and east, then it would be right back towards St. George Island. And then you have here our spin just right into the airport here, but there's not a lot of it. I mean, quite honestly, at this point, we'll see what the airport folks say, because if they see like a funnel, then they would extend this for sure, because we don't have the greatest radar coverage. There's already been some stuff like that happening earlier on where, looked like some radar displacement, and we actually did have a funnel, so I don't care about. I mean, they would have probably had a tornado warning earlier if it wasn't for that, radar displacement, but then, thinking maybe it wasn't going to be something to get down to the ground, and maybe it didn't get to the ground, but it did have a funnel with it. And that's what prompted a tornado warning, despite it looking like on radar it was displaced, and it might have kind of been in that it wasn't actually coming down to the ground, but still, some cause for concern. So we've had a long couple of days already, and it may stay pretty busy here in toward that Friday there, as well as we got a new tornado warning now to 12:30. So let's go ahead and check this one out now. A tornado warning at the lunch hour now. At 11:56, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located in Apalachicola, moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. So it is broad-breasted. They decided they didn't want to take any chances and issued a box to cover both circulations. So they're really pinpointing one near Apalachicola, moving northeast at 25. Apalachicola around 12 o'clock here. We have areas there like East Point 12:10, St. George Island 12:15. So they're just broad-breasting this because, in theory, we've seen it before. Sometimes this stuff looks weak. I mean, even May things didn't look all that crazy with the Tallahassee tornado situation until a little before, and then it went crazy. If one of these were to become more dominant, it could be pretty strong. So, again, you got to be mindful here of that. So, our new tornado warning, I know, including normal population. We have one spin really down here on St. George Island. We have the second right around the Apalachicola Airport. So just kind of keep that in mind here. Make sure you're taking those tornado precautions. Again, you just got to be really, getting in that interior room away from windows. Be careful. If you have East Point in there, one of the communities being impacted. I know you look here, again, that could be a St. George Island issue. This right in the Apalachicola Airport, but I just can't have that going. Maybe just, it could be displaced a little too, but I think going a little closer to town on that latest scan, but it's weak. I mean, this is very weak. These are honestly, a little bit lower. There's a rotation in terms of the intensity than you get tornado warnings for a lot of times, but they don't look very impressive. The thing is, though, we're not that close on the radar, and in tropical tornadoes, sometimes things kind of are harder to tell anyway. When they're closer, you can see it, but it happens kind of quick, and maybe they're just afraid something happened under the radar here. So they're trying to, err on the side of caution, even though these don't look that impressive. Tropical tornadoes can happen very quickly, so you got to be really careful here in that regard. So, again, trying to help you guys stay safe. We're pretty much at the lunch hour now. And some folks having to take their tornado precautions instead because of Francine and this tornado risk here in play. So let me go ahead and kind of say what's going on, because you probably are wondering, like, how in the world do we have a tropical depression over Mississippi and the tornado warnings are all popping up in Florida, pretty much at this point. Well, we have the parameters in play for that. You see our center of circulation there. Let me pull up some of the other information here. So we have your center there around just north of Jackson, Mississippi, the banding features, and then you don't have tornado warnings. You have some wind, though, popping up, some wind reports, tree issues in Alabama for sure, but the instability isn't up there. The instability's down here, and then you also though have a situation where you have some tornado parameters. They go up further. I mean, they don't go as far, north as some of the other rain did. But, those would go if we had the instability mixing around like Demopolis, which we might, some of these areas a little bit, around that, start to mix here at some point, then that'd be the issue. But you don't really have as much there. But we'll have to watch to see, because, if you have the storm development with all that mixing, then you can have problems. Honestly, it may just be a little bit too far north right now, but, it's all about the instability and sheer overlap, and we're not getting enough of that. Like, that area there to due north, I mean, in Oxford, it's in the 60s. You're not getting any energy at the surface. You're not even getting much supercell composite. So it's a weird thing in a way, but you have supercell composite, a lot of rotational potential down in here. I mean, even further over too, but especially, in that area, our system's so into rotational potential here. So just gotta kind of keep that in mind as we're tracking this. The instability, as we kind of look at your significant trigger parameter and the like. So again, just trying to give you the latest. Okay, so it's 12:02 right now. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here, tracking the tornado warning. We have one area span in this vicinity. The other right here again, they could both be water spouts at points, so keep that in mind. Honestly, they're looking more like that again, and that's just so tricky. We hate having to stay on this long for stuff when it's maybe just over water a lot, but that's just the way it is sometimes with these. Again, we have, special marine warnings in play, but a tornado warning to cover the land areas here that could be impacted by possible tornadoes. Really, they're indicating the wind near Apalachicola, but could have one near St. George Island as well. So, again, that's something to kind of bear in mind here. Definitely something to kind of take precautions with as we have everything evolving here toward the various communities. So, of course, we were here yesterday for that Francine landfall coverage. It was a big deal, of course, toward Louisiana Cat 2 hurricane, power outages, freshwater flooding, storm surge flooding, quite a bit over that way. I mean, the power outages, generally from wind damage. Granted, we didn't have, the numbers like we did during Beryl in July in Houston, but we still had, hundreds of thousands in the dark. Less than 500,000 in Louisiana, but still noteworthy for sure with the wind damage. And the latest numbers in toward Louisiana, so over 340,000 still in the dark, and about 36,000 each. Let's try that again. 36,000 each there in Mississippi and Alabama. So that gets you to about 400,000 or so total in the dark because of our storm system there, Francine. So again, just continuing to watch here. So you have a lot of lightning. That's something you don't get in a tropical system here, very often. I mean, it's kind of, a mix here at some points, of a tropical system and not a tropical system. So that's something to kind of be thinking about here too. It's not something that's just completely, at this point with the, influence of the Gulf here. It's not the core of the system is what I'm trying to say. So again, trying to keep you safe here. Whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors anyway. You don't expect to say that when you have a pattern, with tropical tornado warnings, but that's what we have here too. So keep that in mind. Again, continuing to watch. And again, you see moderate downpour activity there on Tallahassee proper. So that's something to kind of be watching. Let's pull up the satellite. See a lot of quarter cloud tops in the Gulf there. Almost, you have a connection, but there's almost a separation almost between the system and that. But again, just continuing to track everything here. Continuing to give you the very latest. Of course, your SPC outlook there, so and stuff a little bit further east with a threat later on, possibly. Let's go over. By the way, see a lightning strike in Duval. Let me check that just real quick. Make sure you don't have any rotation or something weird. There's a little bit of something there. I mean, let me check here on another mode. And there's no tornado warning for this. Let me take your super off for a second. I just saw something. And maybe, right by the radar site, sometimes we have anomalies. So I just saw the lightning there kind of pop up, and it caught my attention because we hadn't really seen that toward the first coast. And there's a little bit of weak rotation, I'd say. Not really in the, as favorable of an environment for that. But right there, just east of Jacksonville Airport, there's some weak rotation. Not enough for a warning. Maybe enough for some type of advisory, though. But it's not really, aligned very well with the convection. But it's just worth noting there for a second. Just thought I'd flip that on over there for a moment here. As you have some heavy downpour even at the lunch hour here. In towards some of the different communities. Just continuing to watch there. I know I'm pulling up some of the model guidance, so that's what model indications could look like later on. We'll just have to continue to watch, for that potential and that, the storms is looking like, later this evening, a possibility still, a factor, obviously. Just watching for that, but let me move this along a little. I'm going to take it off for a second so it'll, have the most accurate data here. Just bear with me. Try to load that in here. As we kind of try to move along a little bit. That's what radar, it's supposed to look like right now. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I have seen worse simulations of what it's supposed to look like, at a current time here. As we go 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. A little bit different, honestly, than what we've been seeing. So, that's worth the kind of focusing on a little. So we're gonna, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and pull this back. So again, there's some of the stuff we're looking at now, but it's still in a little bit different of a scenario here, and this might make a little more sense in some ways here. With the overall setup, it seemed like we had a dry slide in there, and that can help develop severe weather. But so we have 1 o'clock storms still, maybe maybe even still warnings in the Big Bend. Could have some strong thunderstorm action in northeast Florida. But then you start to see that's 2 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock it starts to gather more over the Gulf with the heaviest convection. Maybe missing Tallahassee. Some of the instability is higher down there. That's just a different scenario than what we've been seeing some of the modeling. It may kind of focus the rest down in the coastal areas, or even just, with the water spout threat we don't have to be on. We don't have actual tornado warning to that point, maybe. Cross our fingers. You see some of this stuff trying to get close to the coast, but it kind of dips down, and then it may get close to Taylor/Dixie/Leafy coastline. But then it kind of, really, you see a lot more dry air further up to the north. And then you don't see a lot of that convection in our area. This is a pretty big change from what it was showing earlier on and what it's been showing. It's not saying it's going to happen exactly like that, but I did notice that, West Central Florida could have some stronger storms later on that. And of course, we'll have to watch for more formation on Friday. This model run didn't got quite as long on the 14Z version of HRRR, but we'll watch. It's just one potential scenario. These things are tricky, and we've had enough of that rain in the north. It's kind of, not letting the instability really get up there, but there's still a chance that it could. I was kind of surprised. And let's check, I want to go back again on this because it is so surprising. I wanted to see what it's showing further back in the tornado watch to see if it's showing some development back there or not. So there is some action there, but it looks, kind of, further up to the north, it may actually start going up again, the instability mixing with it. Shear better up there. I'm talking about like around Tuscaloosa or something. And in central Alabama, it looks like stuff becomes a lot more organized up there. And that could be an issue because you have more shear up there. If you could get the instability up there, that'd be worse because, not for us, but just in general, you could get a strong tornado out of that if you're not careful. That could be an issue then around Birmingham. So that could kind of, if that gets more up there, then that could be an issue more for them, not as much for us. And kind of, we have our tornado threat, going downwards. So that could be a big change here from what we've been tracking, but we still are tracking a current tornado warning here right now in Apalachicola. That area there, we're just continuing to give you the latest. Continue to give you the latest updates. I'm going to go back on over here. Again, the warning till 12:30 officially. You can see here, kind of in between Apalachicola and St. George Island, we have some rotation. It might be headed. It is headed toward the St. George Island Bridge right now, so don't want to be driving. Again, we talked about it earlier this morning. You don't want to be driving on the St. George Island Bridge right now. If you can help it. Just as we're kind of looking at things down here, you just have to be taking precaution, obviously. You just definitely have to be taking those precautions there by not driving that stretch of roadway at this point in time. So again, trying to effort the latest here. Just letting you know what's going on. You see further down in the south rotation, that's really not, at this point, the way it's angling, it's doing what the model is showing now, and it's kind of, we'll loop it. That's dipping down in the Gulf, and that's not going to be an issue for a while, but it is, at some point toward, areas like Taylor, Dixie, Levy, it'd be hours away. Same with something like this, and I don't know if that would actually end up materializing like that. I would kind of lean toward not. So we're looking a tad bit better. We're staying in alert mode though. We have the core to the west, which is a depression now, so we wouldn't keep the logo red just for that, but we have to for our area because of the tornado watch. So too, they were talking about extending that. There's at least a chance that maybe, it doesn't happen. We don't have another extension here, but we could still have warnings and things could shift very quickly again. Just one model run, but it may be getting a little luckier in that regard. But they could do a local extension too. Could whether it's like a 2-hour extension for the counties to like 4 just in case. But this area here looks like it's off the coast. So that's a marine interest. You don't want to be out on the boat right now, obviously, and there's issues. You don't want to be out on the boat really anyway in this type of setup. And then have a lot of lighting here in between. You have that thread around the St. George Island Bridge. Yes, they have a lot of rain. We've talked about this toward Port St. Joe, but we've had a lot of rain in some of these areas. So be very careful. That's 10 inches, storm total at least. So that's problematic. So we'll just have to continue to track all this. And sometimes when you get the pattern, when you get stuff over the Gulf, too much, it can kind of keep the stuff to the north at bay a bit. So that'll be something to watch for too. But again, just trying to keep you guys up to date. It's a tricky pattern, obviously. We're trying to do our best to keep you informed of what's going on. I know, looking back toward the first coast, we do have, some areas of moisture, but nothing, currently warned. There's a little bit of lightning. There is a little bit of lightning there around Jacksonville International Airport, so that's something to keep tabs on, obviously. Whenever thunder roars, you want to go indoors. It is the lunch hour, so I just gotta be keeping that in the back of your mind there as you do look, as you do track here, as we give you guys the very latest on exactly what's going on. You just gotta be really cognizant. Again, tracking the influence of Francine in our area even, which is something. Even though the core is way out to the west. Again, we've seen things switch around, on us some today. With once you get the storms right at the coast there and some friction involved, you have problems. We'll have to watch for that with some more of these. Again, St. George Island Bridge, though we have some weak rotation. We have this other area a little tighter, but it's out in the Gulf at this point. I mean, wait till the other radar views. I mean, I'll do that because, it's a situation here where I'm almost thinking that there's not enough to keep the tornado warning at this point. But I need to check the other radar to make sure what's going on. Maybe it's doing something different. And it's way far away, but really, it's not doing that much different. And that's part of it too. The stuff's so far away on the radar. It's hard to, know exactly what's going on. The lightning here. If there's enough of a spin, we can, in theory, could get another warning extended out here for the island areas. So we shall see. We'll watch that. I know it's kind of tricky here. I know in some ways you can almost make the argument that I'm gonna go back down for a satellite and show you guys something real quick. It's kind of intriguing. I mean, just the way our system further up, and this is all connected, but the convection's a lot stronger with this portion of it now further down to the south, on the edge of the low pressure. So, in some ways, it may make it a little bit harder to keep it, to sustain itself. That's what ACCCC is kind of showing in some ways. If it's, it could almost be, a little bit more on its own here. And that would, decrease some of the concern, because it would be trying to rely more on just the energy of the Gulf instead. Now, granted, it didn't really how it would necessarily work in the short term, but you're probably wondering, well, this could become its own tropical system. Well, it wouldn't do that in the short term over the, Gulf, but interesting nonetheless when you think about it like that. But again, just continuing to give you the very latest here with the tornado warning scenario. We have the tornado watch till 2 o'clock. We'll see if that gets extended. Again, we're live right now with the tornado warning coverage on Facebook there, Casey Cloud WX, Cloud Weather, Twitter /X at Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather, and cloudweather.com. They are continuing the tornado warning right now at the Weather Service in Tallahassee. A very small area there. You see possible tornado near East Point moving northeast at 20 miles an hour. This dangerous storm will be near East Point around 12:25 p.m. So that's kind of the storyline there. Again, just continuing to track it all for you. A little bit of something there. Again, it's on the weaker looking side, but you gotta always respect the polygon here per se. So That's what we're trying to do with all this right at this point. Again, as we watch the progression here of the storminess, you just gotta be making sure you're still taking precaution, even if things don't look, overwhelming on radar. They can still be an issue here for you. So you have all this electrical energy. I know whenever thunder roars going doors, that can be dangerous anyway, whether there's a tornado or wind damage or not. Not necessarily that, but lightning is occurring. So that can be deadly. Doesn't mean it doesn't need to be a tropical system or not a tropical system for lightning to be deadly. I mean, of course you need cloud to ground strikes, but still, the point being, you got to still be very careful here in these type of situations. So, again, we're tracking the tornado warning. Again, honestly, I would not think that's worth, really keeping there because the rotation looks more, intense in the Gulf, but you just never know here. Tropical systems are tricky. I mean, that looks definitely more defined further down in the Gulf, though. I mean, that, looks pretty intense down in here. Well, let me draw this better, or draw it. I haven't actually drawn it yet, but, down there, that's more defined, but that's off the coast, and that's now moving away based on the latest directional look at things kind of drifting around. So, another thing we need to do here real quick, I guess, while we're on, and there's an NFL game tonight in Miami. They just had one on Sunday, and they have another one here tonight against the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins. On this Thursday night football taking on Buffalo. So let's see how the modeling looks for that in terms of any weather influence, the latest look, because lightning would delay things down there. So there is a chance that could happen then. As you see, that's 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. We'll have to just see. Maybe a short delay if it were to be an issue. But thought I'd just touch on that real quick as we look down there. Week 2 of the NFL season getting underway. But again, just continuing to track everything here for you. And you can see the tidal rotation in the Gulf here, as I've alluded to for a little bit. See the tornado watching the yellow to 2, that could get extended, whether it's spatially and or in time, or it could be a local extension, could be a whole new watch. We South Sea could have a watch further north based on some of the trends in the model and I was seeing. Now the tornado parameters don't look, as much up there. We do have some supercell composite though. It'll be a matter of how things kind of evolve. So, okay, they are expiring the tornado warning now for Franklin. However, they're using that terminology. So technically it still goes to 12:30. So we need to kind of just stick with you a few more minutes and technically before we wrap things up, on this here. And hopefully, maybe we'll get luckier than we were thinking earlier on and have a lull for a while. And some of this, the modeling kind of switched around on us there. And so maybe a little bit better picture at times. So we shall see as things do progress here. Things could be a little more stable. So again, you have our low pressure here. You have the axis extended down, and you have the overall pattern of moisture toward like Jacksonville and like. That's intriguing. You have your flash flood warning still to 12:30. They, probably at this point, they might go with an aerial flood warning or something. They could extend it, I suppose, but not something that's, readily obvious that they would because the heaviest rain moving out of that. But could have some more flash flood warnings here later on with Cullen County, something like that. Could still have more tornado warnings, but things in the short term look a little bit better in that regard. So, that's what we like to see. But things could change for tomorrow. I didn't get into the HydRes for tomorrow yet. If nothing else, you could have nasty thunderstorms around. So, that's the overall setup. So, now HydRes, the latest one that was really showing a big change It doesn't go into tomorrow yet. So, by the way, we have about 377 customers in the dark there as we look toward Taylor County right now. 1 in Madison, none in Jefferson, 5 customers out in Leon, 1 in Wakulla, none in Gadsden, none in Liberty, and none in Franklin. So all these tornado warnings, and yet luckily we don't have any out in Franklin County according to PowerOutage.us. We do, however, have 330,000 or so customers out in Louisiana, about 30,000 out in Mississippi, and 46,000 out or so in Alabama. So that's according to PowerOutage.us here because of Francine. That's what most of those would be from, is Francine, now a tropical depression over Mississippi. So again, you see that there as we're looking kind of east of Yazoo City there with the center of circulation. You have still some rains here that could be problematic, as you look up toward Memphis even, and, as that add up, as that slows down, that could cause more problems. So we'll watch, we'll track, in terms of just making sure the national standpoint things just don't overwhelm that area. And there's wind advisories in play and the like. I know the Prediction Center now is seeing the advisories on our storm system versus them coming from the Hurricane Center now. So that's some, good news there too. Storm in Greenville, Alabama looks a little bit interesting. Let me just check it. It's not in our area, but while we're on, let's kind of touch on some of that. Again, just trying to let you know what's going on. And in fact, that storm is showing some signs of rotation. That would not head toward our area. But that could be a sign of stuff in Alabama going a little bit stronger now in Butler County. You see some rotation there around the Bowling community. So again, just something to kind of monitor here as we look at things, as we track the situation. Just something to kind of be mindful of for sure, as we try to give you the very latest here to protect you, your friends, and your families. So it's kind of intriguing to see that. Again, watching our storm system. And again, the tornado warning expiring out. Technically, 12:30 is the expiration, but we have a lot of stuff in the Gulf, but that's kind of seemingly, at this point, kind of keeping some of the other stuff over land at bay, and just the topography here kind of plays a role too. So kind of interesting to see that. So we'll be back here as these conditions do warrant. Again, if we need to be on to talk, we'll be on Facebook there, KC Cloud Liberty X and Cloud Weather, Twitter/X at Cloud KC, YouTube at Cloud Weather, Twitch Cloud Weather. So those are those platforms. You have clutter.com/radar for an interactive look at things. And if we don't need to actually do a live stream, we'll still be posting things as warranted. Facebook KC Cloud Weather, and then Twitter/X at Cloud KC. Of course, we're in standby mode for these storms, so no formal update late tonight, but we've been on a lot here this morning, this afternoon already, on yesterday's landfall coverage. I'll be on later today, tomorrow, whatever it takes to keep you, your friends, your family safe and informed here with the situation here involving Francine. So very important to keep that in mind. Bottom of the hour is about to be here, where that tornado warning officially is out of the picture. It's not on the map now, but technically, officially, when you're doing expiration, and it goes away at 12:30, the bottom of the hour. So that's good news, but we could definitely have more. We probably still will have, at some point, as we're looking toward, somewhere, certainly in the tropical envelope, will be in our area or not. I'm hoping not in terms of tornado warnings. If it's thunderstorm warnings, we very well might, but again, we shall see. Again, just trying to, inform everybody. I hope you guys, really, just Joanne here to cover the best you can in terms of me trying to keep you safe. I mean, no, there's not sometimes a lot to enjoy when you have a tropical system in play. So keep that in mind here too. But at least hopefully I'm informative for you guys. I know getting some questions here. Just reading things. Some folks here talking about how some areas have had a lot of rain. It doesn't always take a name system. I'm not sure the specific numbers be inside of there in that YouTube comment, but I know I will say, it has been a rainy pattern around Jacksonville lately, but new flash flood warning this did get issued for parts of Franklin, Gulf, and Liberty counties. So they did decide to go ahead and issue another one. That's till 3 o'clock. And that's going to go for some of these different areas there. As we're looking at things, as we're tracking, move to higher ground, when it's necessary, turn around, don't drown, and then the 6 inches of knocking, or 6 inches of flowing water could knock you down. So I know flash flood warning until 3, Western Franklin, Southwestern Liberty, Southern Gulf counties at 12:30 Eastern. We have Doppler indicating thunderstorms producing heavy rain around the warned area. Between 2.5 and 4.5 inches of rain have fallen. Additional amounts there of 1 to 2 are possible, with flash flooding that are ongoing are expected to begin shortly. Apalachicola, East Point, St. George Island, Port St. Joe, Mexico Beach, Franklin, Howard Creek, Bucksidon, Beverly, Fort Gadsden, Hayes Place, Bay City, Tilton, Willis Landing, Apalachicola, Krills, 9 Mile, Sumatra, White City, 11 Mile. That's included as well. As you just want to remember, turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roads, and most flood deaths do occur in vehicles. So that's something to bear in mind. May have more flash flood warnings, like in Wakulla. I can see them issuing one toward, South Tropic of St. Mark's here at some point, maybe Crawfordville in there as well. So not out of the question. We'll watch for that here in post and or come back on as needed for stuff like that. Of course, we're always on Bernie tornado warning storm, and I'm kind of losing my voice here. But we've been going a while. We're going to wrap it for now. We'll be back here as the situation is deemed necessary here, as we're looking at things, as we're tracking them. We'll be here as it is required. I know. Just circling back one more time to that comment about Jacksonville per se and the rain. I know that's been a weird pattern with the rain just continuing on, and I'll have to kind of do some research on that. But again, it is interesting here, wet conditions. But that'll do it for now. Stay safe and just try to have the best day you can.